Becoming next.
Always.
I've had all right. We gotta believe post game Coors Light beer made to chill, keep us chilled. The season's on ice, so you can get as blue as the Rocky Mountains are on this can as we celebrate responsibly. Our final season with the Wilpons comes and goes in typical Wilpon fashion with a loss in a season where it's harder to miss the playoffs than make it. The Mets have missed the playoffs. Jacob deGrom's quote was, what was it? He's like, it was, he didn't say embarrassing, was it? It was like, it was, he didn't seem happy though. I forgot exactly what his line was, but he was not pleased with it.
He's being very blunt now that he knows that he's got new owners.
Exactly. It's funny seeing it all slowly cycle. I saw who was it? Michael Barron had something about like frustrating. Yes, very Jake. That was a very nice way to put it. We would expect nothing less from our sweet Jakey. Doesn't go out. Doesn't maybe put one little shred of doubt in the voters' minds in his last start of the season. What do you have? How many strikeouts tonight? 10? 10 Ks, another one, which I mean, we were talking about that, how it was the first time they had the back-to-back, and he does it again. I mean, 5 innings, 3 earned, 10 Ks, and you're like, he didn't have his stuff today. It's crazy. It's, the 7-inning game, too.
I was talking to my buddy, and I said, it's actually a good thing that the fact that he didn't win Best Pitcher of the Year, it was a down year.
Yeah, it's great.
You are still a top 3 pitcher in the National League, and we're like, he really didn't have it this year. And it's just the fact that he's able to put it together year after year after year. It's like, we're disappointed you didn't three-peat, but at the same time, it's like you still went out and gave the team a chance to win every single night that you pitched, with the exception of one night.
Yep, that's all you can ask for. And it's a goddamn hamstring. He didn't have his stuff. Kevin Francis Clancy, you motherfucker. KFC might be joining us later. He has bedtime coming up at the house and all that stuff, so you never know how long that's going to last. Jake finishes the season 2.38 ERA. I'm telling you, there's not a doubt in my mind. This is a 32 start season for Jake, or whatever it would be with injuries and stuff like that. He's around the same ERA. Everyone else is higher ERA than they have right now, just because I've seen this guy do it time and time again. I've seen him win 2 Cy Young Awards. I would see a third. He's still the reigning real Cy Young Award winner, though, because, again, we don't fucking play Corona seasons. We're not acknowledging the champion. We're not acknowledging – I don't even know who the fucking MVP is. Like, who cares about this shit? That's
the thing, too. Like, Soto had to miss the first 2 weeks of the season because he tested positive and then tested negative 8 times, so he couldn't play. And he's not going to win the MVP because he didn't play those first 2 weeks, even though his numbers are like outrageous compared to everybody else. And it's complete bullshit. Even for I'll still root for Juan Soto. Like, the dude's 21 years old and better than like any players could imagine to be. And he's not going to win an MVP because he missed the first 2 weeks.
I'm with you on that. We've gone over this on the podcast in the past, but like I never like when a player owns us, I can hate him. When a player is a dick like Chipper was and John Rocker was, I can hate them. But like if a guy's just good, you just tip your cap. I mean, I got my dick kicked in by Michael Jordan my whole childhood. Like that's when sports meant too much. The 90s Knicks are my favorite thing in the world. Michael Jordan, at some point, I hated him. At some point, I'm just like, the guy's awesome. Like same with Bryce Harper. I was like, fuck, man, Bryce Harper is just great. Other than with Matt Harvey for a while there, he owned Harper. Other than that, he owned us. And then obviously Soto's going along that path. I'm convinced he's going to look good in orange and blue. I'm going to be telling myself Stevie's bringing him here with Jared Kelenic in like 10 years when he's actually a free agent. But another season come and go. It's the end of tomorrow is our last day with these fuckhead Wilpons. Honestly, I think I don't want to mush that, but I honestly feel like if like something, God forbid, happened to the Uncle Stevie bid, like it would just go to the next bidder because I think they just are like they will be in like they'll be just washing dishes or whatever you do with people who can't pay money. They just be in like jail or something. Like they just can't, they don't have money, so they can't own the team anymore if they don't have money. So this should be the last season. Good core. We've talked about it a million times. Dom Smith. That was the other thing. Watching Dom Smith go into that fucking wall, and it's like. It's like, we don't need this right now. I don't need Dom Smith to get hurt in a position he shouldn't be playing because we have an idiot GM who puts these guys in positions they shouldn't be.
But like
Just drives me crazy.
to stay in the game for a game that has no consequence whatsoever. I don't care if you have 0.5% chance of making the playoffs. And he's like, fuck it, like I'm in all the way. I love to see that. Like the dude is like every player in the clubhouse loves him. This was before he had success this year, Clem. It was like every single player, anytime he did anything well, they were all rooting for him. They're all in his corner. So that's like, that dude is like ride or die for the Mets, 100%.
100%. You just tell last year. I remember when he had the scooter and everything. Like, there's just certain guys you can just tell have like the heartbeat of the team, and like it's like multiple. Every team, like they always said, is like multiple like factions in it, just like every other like place in the world. When you just have people, you go to the Barstool office. There's like, I don't want to say cliques, but it's just like you go to any office. It's just like these people are friends, those people are friends, and Dom seems like one of those dudes that just gets along with everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the guy just is a ride or die guy. Our boy Jimmy got hurt too. So it's like at this point, put everyone. Jake, we made it through the season. Knock on wood. We haven't had any news about anything else flaring up. Put him in bubble wrap. Put Dom in bubble wrap. Pete hit a fuck bomb. That was nice to see. Put him, everyone in bubble wrap. Week 17 rosters tomorrow if it was up to me, and we just fucking go about this business. And I mean, we have one more game with the Wilpons. I feel like we're due one more calamity to strike us. You know, some sort of just stupid shit, like someone literally like on fire in the middle of the game or something like that. Yeah. But that's basically all we have. Tomorrow is NFL Sunday. We can at least put this team out of our mind. It was, I mean,
it's a wild ride.
Did Ronnie say World Series would be a disappointment or playoffs were a disappointment?
If playoffs. Which,
okay.
I mean, that was still wishful thinking. Like, yes, if we had everybody in the roster, in the rotation, nobody got hurt. Yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed too. Like, you had to think Syndergaard would have got us 5 extra wins. Those 5 extra wins probably, or like him and Stroman together, 5 extra wins. That gets you to the playoffs. That's the difference.
But he also said that before the season, right? Before it was the Corona season, or I feel like that was before it was this like expanded playoffs too. So it's like, I honestly don't think, I mean, you can't tell. It's such a long fucking season. Who knows? But I'm telling you, man, this was a bad team. There was a flaw with it. I do think that some things broke against them in typical Mets fashion, but like there was just something that just stunk there. You know what I mean? It's like you're in the house, you just don't know where that smell is, but you know there's a smell somewhere in the house. There's something under the couch or something. This team had it. We've talked about it a million times. Base running and defense. You're just not going to make the playoffs like that if you have all these other teams that can get their shit together and have talent. So I'm not going to miss this season. This season, I think we're going to look back on and we're going to remember it was the year Uncle Stevie came, and it was a lot of weird, funky last days of Wilpon kind of shit. Right. But I'm happy it's over, Kyle. I mean, tomorrow's the last game. We're just running through the motions at this point, right?
We're up in the air on whether or not we get to the final one because the season's technically over today. So
yeah, we'll see about tomorrow. We might have our Coors Light pregame, postgame, and all that stuff tomorrow. That was the other thing. Well, so we're gonna do. We said on the podcast on this week's podcast we're gonna do. That was our last one. We got booked for at least one more. And then we're obviously going to do an Uncle Stevie coronation day whenever, knock on wood, that happens. We'll talk about it more there. Did you see Howie Rose ether some dude on Twitter?
Yes. The first time he's finally been on Twitter and been like, as politically correct as he could be, but he's like, you're a fucking idiot if you're going to try to argue these ridiculous stats with me. I was like, yes, get down in the muck with everybody. Twitter is where the mud's at, and how he just dived headfirst in on the second to last day of the season. I was like, thank God.
I'm sure he probably was like, do I hit send? And then he hits send, then he retweets his own bird because that doesn't appear on his timeline.
And let me tell you, 100% Alyssa texts him, and she's like, you need to retweet that because no one else can really see it.
Exactly. When you're dropping the G word gobbledygook fucking on a motherfucker's head, you just instantly vaporize him. He turns to dust. It's like the Thanos snap. That dude is fucking ether now. Just an unbelievable, again, the Gary, Keith, Ron, and Howie, they carry us through the dark times. There's only one set of, I guess in that case, there's 4 sets of footprints, and they're carrying Mr. Met on their shoulders through all this fucking sludge, how we have a meaningless game in September when more than half the league makes the playoffs. That's honestly an achievement. Tip of the cap to the Wilpons. You've outdone yourselves this time. On your way out the door, you gave us one more kick in the dick. And at this point, I appreciate it. Like I said, we have one more day. Let the hate out of your hearts now. be negative, be pessimistic, whatever you have to do. Once Uncle Stevie, once those fucking broke ass owners let Uncle Stevie in their club because they need the money, that's when all the shit where what did Phil Jackson do? He had everyone write like a poem about the last season or whatever, and we're having a burn party. We're burn booking. We're throwing all this shit away, and we're a new fucking fan base. We're gonna be like Daenerys Targaryen rising from the flames with dragons on it.
The fire will be built correctly.
Yes, and it will be built correctly with fucking logs and tinder and Kindle. I don't even know what these fucking words are. I barely can make a fire, obviously. So I can't believe I got that analogy right the first time coming out of my mouth. Yeah, like everyone's saying, man, a lot of wasted talent here, but it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, so you're the obviously like still. You're the youngest, literally the youngest. You also, I think, the youngest at heart, the most pessimistic. Still, you have been beaten down, but not to the point where some of the other people on this podcast have. What are your like emotions about tomorrow? Do you have any kind of feeling about it, or what?
No, I wrote this season off months ago. So it's always since that point, it's been nothing but I'm rooting for the individuals. I'm rooting for their accolades, the Cy Young, Dom. I wanted to see Jimmy take off. I need to see Jimenez. I tweeted out today. I was saying, I think we move Rosario. I think that we give Jimenez his shot. He's already proven that he could be the guy for long term. Even in one season, even in a shortened season, I've seen more out of him than I've seen in Rosario in 3 seasons. So if we can move him for some pieces and go from there, I think that it's more of, I want to see the front office get established. I want to know who the names are. I've seen some names already floated. He's already
the dude from Oakland seems to be a big one. Yeah.
So we'll see. This offseason is going to be more exciting than the regular season.
100%. Yeah, like, and it's going to be probably longer when it's all said and done. When you add in like the time Stevie gets into all the people, it's going to probably be a clean. You would think it's going to be clean house. Brody, he probably knows his job is on the line, and not even on the line. I just think it's a matter of time until it's all said and done. So from the time Stevie takes over to the time like trades are done or the dust is settled, it looks like we have our roster, it'll probably be like longer than whatever the fuck this season was. This season started like end of July, right? Is that when it was 60 games? So it was like around then, right?
Yep.
So
do you think we keep Rojas?
I think Stevie will put it in Sandy's hands, obviously, and I don't know if Sandy has someone he's gonna want to I just don't feel like they care about the manager as much as because like Terry. Now this is the thing. It's also like we're living in Wilpon world, right? Where it's like maybe Sandy wanted to spend more money on a manager and Terry, but like Luis seems very much like a Terry, right? Where it's like a guy in the organization, the people know him, the people like him, they came up with him, and if the decisions are going to be made up top and passed down, and Rojas is a good soldier that will do those things, I could see him sticking around for another year. I also, I don't know. This will be tricky though, because I don't think the owners will like this, and this would be a very scary precedent to set as like one of your first big moves as owner is if he brought back Beltran. But I heard he liked Beltran, and he wasn't happy that they let it play out. Now, granted, this guy clearly doesn't give a fuck about rules, right? Stevie Cohen doesn't give a shit about rules, and if Beltran got caught for banging on some trash cans, like Uncle Stevie would have been banging on every trash can in the fucking neighborhood if it made him an extra like $20 on the deal. I think so.
Right. I would love to see that if that's his first move. I don't think Rojas did enough to lose the job. It was one of those things where it was like you weren't trying to win the job. You weren't trying to win over the fans. Like everyone knew what it was. Like you were an underqualified, you got your shot early type of guy, and you needed like the training wheels. He didn't do enough to lose it. I don't know. It depends on honestly when he gets voted in. If he gets voted in November like he's supposed to, I don't think you have enough time to go get like your guy. You might as well just stick it out for another year and see what we have with him. Other than that, if they do it a little bit earlier, now that the season's ending on Sunday, if they're really going to do that like Skype vote versus the November vote, maybe you have enough time, but there's also like not enough names out there. Like who's the sexy name that you're going to go get? Like there's nobody on the market. Everybody's locked in right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say. Like, there could be like a crazy fire they didn't see coming or something like that. And again, Joe Madden was the sexy name, when he went. When look
Right.
how it's gone. And granted, this whole season's a bunch of bullshit anyway. And the Angels are just, I mean, they're kind of like the thing that's scared all Mets fans straight. It's like, yeah, like having an owner that'll spend doesn't mean shit. You have to build the way we think Stevie's going to build and kind of like do the Uncle Stevie stuff to make us competitive. I will say this too, like Rojas always seemed to be like, even during the Beltran interviews and hiring, like he was always in the mix. So he's clearly a guy the franchise likes. Granted, the franchise is completely different now. But I imagine he probably came on when Alderson was there. So I'm interested. And again, he's an Alou, even though he's not an Alou by name. He's, whenever you're related to Felipe Alou, you're kind of like have that baseball royalty in your blood. So I have no problem with him. There were some things that I think drove us nuts, but no fucking the best thing about Twitter is you just learn every franchise has the same problems. We as Mets fans have another set of problems that everyone can say is unique to us, but everyone has the same shit. The pitching moves drive you crazy. The double switch. I mean, the double switches. Mickey just couldn't manage. I mean, they had to bring in another bench coach because he just didn't know how to manage. That was just facts. So yeah,
that's the standard we set. We were like, if you're not Mickey, you get an extra year.
Exactly. Speaking of Brody, too, I got to shout out the signing of Pretty Ricky fucking Porcello here. 1-7 on the year, 5.64 ERA. Better. I think he was better than he was.
Waka.
That was better than Waka.
Better than Waka.
Jesus. I mean, hey, it was an improvement. He was last in ERA last year, right? So, yeah. I mean, hey, you gotta, as John Heyman said, he's qualified for ERA title 7 years in a row, even though he finished dead fucking last in it last year. He did qualify, which counts because it means, the best ability is availability, as Todd McShay once told their boy KFC. So, Pretty Ricky Porcello finishes the season 1-7, 3 innings pitched, 3 earned, 5 total given up runs, 5.64 ERA. He did say this, though. I wish I had performed better for the Mets fan base and our ball club. I am such a sucker for like the local guys that clearly get the Mets fan base.
Right.
It's just those guys almost always suck. And that doesn't really do me any good. That's why David Wright hurts a little extra. He was born and raised in Virginia, yet somehow a Mets Giants gypsy like me, and he loved the Mets because of the Norfolk Tides or whatever. And then, of course, he got bit by the Mets fucking death bug. So, Pretty Ricky, I hope to never see you again in my team's uniform. I mean, this might be the last day of the Mad Dog, too. He came in for an inning. Betances. I didn't see the Betances thing. I'm looking here, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. That seems like both sides of the Dylan Betances coin right there. We'll probably be seeing him next year. We talked about that on the
I think that one's for the best. I think it's going to be like a Diaz situation where like he'll have a bounce back year. He was injured. He's coming off of a big injury from the year before, and we signed him. So it's like you got to have some time to get your legs under you. If Diaz comes back and is the guy, the bad man, not so much today, but if he's the guy and he can like get it done, that's a vicious 1-2 punch with some guys that are like role players in the bullpen too. So it's like, I think honestly, it's so strange to say, but like our starting pitching is definitely our biggest problem at the moment. Whereas that's always been our biggest strength.
Very, very on par with the Mets. It's like when it's not one, it's the other. The boat just can't ever be balanced. It's always tipping one way or the other. And like you said, like the history of the franchise is usually we at least have some sort of pitching and the offense drives us crazy. Offense seems to be there. We'll get in. I was going to go into a whole other thing, but I think we'll get into like on this week's show on Thursday, we'll do like a real season recap and a look ahead. Teams that we're going to choose in the playoffs because we kind of like talk through that, and we'll actually have a playoff picture by the time Thursday rolls around, and things will break. We'll probably just be rooting whoever the Yankees play against. Let's be honest, right? So and then we'll do like season recap, playoff preview, and who we want, and then a little bit like off-season wish list kind of stuff, because. The more I think about Nolan Arenado, it just makes complete fucking sense to me. It just all makes sense. So I feel like you just gotta find a fucking way to get Nolan Arenado, or LeMahieu.
The Rockies are fucking idiots. The Rockies put in his no trade clause. He didn't even ask for it. He didn't even ask for it. They gave him an absurd amount of money and a no trade clause, and that's why they couldn't move him this year because it was like he was willing to waive it for certain teams, but those teams then couldn't move him if they traded for him. So like that was their hang up. Because the contract was so big.
And I think that, and I honestly, I don't know. This is just honestly like the thought of having Uncle Stevie as an owner is I'm just like, we are the team that could be like, hey, let's take it. The guy's a fucking stud. If God forbid that contract turns sour, we do have it. And, obviously you have to think about salary cap and all that. Maybe Sandy isn't going to be a guy who wants to do something like that. And that's going to be kind of where it all comes down on. But even the A's, they would always take a chance on some of those guys and be like, hey, this guy's gonna crush if they truly believe them. And if we're not going to be able, if we have up the middle, we have up the middle basically. I don't want to say locked in, but we have it kind of set where it's like we have Jimenez, we have Rosario, we have fucking bum ass Cano, and we have McNeil. We have 4 fucking guys for 2 positions, and we have 2 first basemen. So it's like, and we have no one really who can play third, as we know. JD Double Davis can't really do it, and then McNeil. I don't want to get into that. So that's Thursday's preview right there. A whole bunch of shit like that. And tomorrow we'll see what's going on with tomorrow. And everyone enjoy Sunday. That's all I've said. Enjoy it. It's our last one with the Will Ponds. Like pop open a nice. We don't pop champagne for anything other than victories. Even though Will Ponds leaving feels like a victory, we pop open Coors Lights and drink responsibly for 21 or older. That's what we're going to do. Celebrate responsibly. The end of the Will Pond era. I'm gonna really pop one open. The last win or lose, that last out, we're popping it open out of our lives forever. Fucking great.
Because even when we lose, we win. That's the new Mets way.
Yes, exactly. Fucking put that in your pipe and smoke it, fucking Jeff Will Pond, you cocksucker. All right, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, gotta believe.
Gotta believe.